Hey everyone, welcome to Grace of Bell, where we explore womanhood, motherhood, marriage, joyful living, faith. My name is Natalie Grace, and I'm so glad you're here. And today I'm going to dive into an episode that I have been wanting to film for about a year. I wrote this blog over a year ago, and at the time I was very much into the trenches of just being full time with my baby. So the idea of filming a podcast just seemed like way too much. So I only put the blog out there, knowing I would eventually get to the podcast. And so here we are. This is based on my Motherhood Reflections blog, um, 18 simple insights and 18 insights and simple pleasures that I cherished most in my first year of motherhood. And I even have kind of deeper reflections on that because now my son is already he'll be 3 in 3 months. So he's definitely not a baby anymore. But yeah, I feel like my insights have only developed since then. So that's what we're getting into today. But before I dive into that, I have a little announcement. So I recently published a ebook titled My 15 Steps to I Do, a wedding planning guide for joy, ease, and savings. Now I know we're talking about babies today, so a lot of you are past the wedding stage, but maybe not. I'm someone who mixed up that order, so maybe you're like me. But that's, if you're a Christian listening, then just know that my motherhood journey, or my motherhood journey was really the beginning of my Christian journey. But anyways, that's for another story. Yeah, so I just published this book on Etsy. If it's not, it should be available on Etsy by the time that this is aired, by the time you're watching this. But yeah, it's basically my heart on paper for brides. It's very much taking my old blog and podcast, my 7 words of advice for every bride, and it's a lot more developed. I developed the book kind of based off of that blog post, and there's action plans and reflection questions, and it's really just like a heart-led, um, simple, cost-conscientious way for brides to plan their wedding. And so I'm really excited about it. And if you or if someone you know are in that stage of planning a wedding, then I would love for you to check it out. I have something special for the first 50 readers, a special discount, just because I'm really looking for those testimonials and feedback. And yeah, I would be so grateful if you checked it out and spread the word. But anyways, that is it for my book. Now we're going to get into this episode. And so I wrote this at the time I wrote this, my baby had just turned 1. So the obviously that year and the newborn stage was really like still fresh in my memory. So I think this is going to really resonate for mothers who are in that newborn stage. I've just passed it, or maybe you're pregnant, you're about to have your first baby, then this is perfect for you. But yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I wrote this then, so it's gonna really apply to moms in that stage, but I also have reflections that are kind of more general, that apply to mothers in almost every stage. And so I also want to this is what I was about to say. I want to clarify that this is not a baby registry guide. You might find some inspiration for your baby registry, but this is more about the things that were gifts in their own way, like the words of wisdom and like practical items and habits that just like really supported my peace and joy as I moved through this very transformative journey of the first year of motherhood, and honestly after, um, because yeah, I'm gonna kind of dive in a little bit deeper now that my son is almost 3. Um, so yeah, grab your coffee, your tea, and let's talk about my motherhood insights for all you new moms and about to be moms out there. Okay, so number 1 is the words of wisdom. Every stage is fleeting, so cherish it. And I can't tell you the number of times that people have told me this. You probably hear it all the time in pregnancy. Um, but those words don't really hit until you're actually living through it. And it is just, it's such an adjustment when your life really does a 180. There's so many changes physically and emotionally. And when you are in that phase, especially the newborn stage, it can feel like such a grind. And you go from sleepless night after night, broken up sleeps, and days just all morph into each other. And you're like, is this just my life? Like, will I ever have a full night's sleep again? I mean, at least that's how I felt. And yeah, it can just feel so long when you're in it. But I promise you will get a full night's sleep again. It is actually not that long, because now I look back and it really does, it feels like a blip. It feels like a distant blip. And, while it was hard and I admittedly was not the most positive person, waking up at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., those are moments that I cherish so much now. Just sitting in the rocking chair, house so quiet, 4 in the morning, things feel so peaceful, just doing skin on skin, nursing your baby. And yeah, I'm now so grateful that I had those moments. And again, like as hard as it is, I feel like and this truly is like God's grace pouring over us in this challenging season. But it's like you get these amazing endorphins and this euphoria that like only comes from that bonding time that you spend with your baby, that skin on skin. Like it's so special. And what's crazy now is I don't even remember the last time that I rocked my baby to sleep. Like that used to just be such a normal part of our routine. And it's like, at what point did he just become a child and go into his own bed? And, I still sit with him and I read to him and sing over him. But um, I don't remember the last time that I rocked him to sleep. And there was a last time. And I don't even know when it was. And that is the case for everything. There will be a last time you wake up in the night to breastfeed, that you bottle feed, that you put them up on a high chair, and you probably won't even know it's the last time when it is. It honestly makes me so emotional. Um, but I feel like reminding myself of that and knowing that helped me to cherish those moments in the good times and in the more challenging times. So that's my advice every stage really is fleeting. There will be a last time for every stage. So just cherish it. Number 2 on my list is alone time blocks. And it is really different going from a life where you more or less have the freedom to make adult decisions and do what you want, do what you like when you like within reason. I mean, within like the limitations of a job or whatever. Um, to then going to feeling like you've had like an organ leap outside your body and your primary role is just to keep it alive and safe at all times or else you will die. um because that's like how having a baby feels like a heart just like leaped outside your body, and you are just needing to now that is your job, just always keeping very close watch and care over this organ that you are depending on to survive. um, to the point where even having a shower is kind of like a question of how am I going to make this happen? Um, so yeah, it's a huge lifestyle change, emotionally, physically, um, freedom wise, and so it was so important that I just embraced some time alone when I could get it. And um, my husband was such an anchor during this time, and he always encouraged me to get out and go grab a coffee or get my nails done or go to the farmer's market. And so Saturday mornings were kind of my time to do those things for me. I often had more than that, times during the week, but his work schedule wasn't always predictable. And so it was always just, I always knew that I could get the Saturday mornings. And it just gave me a peace of mind to like know that I had that time. Um, and yeah, it's weird. Like sometimes you get so attached that like it's like you want to get space, but then you don't want to get space. And I just felt like it was so important for me to be encouraged to get out, because even when I maybe wasn't so enthusiastic about it, I would be like, oh no, I'm just gonna like stay home and you go watch Scotty. It was just always good to get out. I always felt like my cup was just like more full returning. Um, and yeah, so definitely alone time blocks. And now that my faith is more developed, um, in the last year, and especially since having a baby, I'd also say God time blocks. Just times where I could just sit in his presence, and that can, of course, there was so many times that happened when I was just alone with my baby. So you don't have to be alone for that. But there is a difference when you are just spending time fully alone without um, kind of feeling like your baby is, you know, constantly having to like worry. You just want to be able to like kind of turn your brain off and kind of just focus on that time where you can just truly just spend time alone, you and God. Um, so okay, number 3. It sounds so ridiculous that this made a spot on here, but it was such a big part of my year. I just couldn't go unmentioned. Overnight oats. Okay. I became like an overnight oats addict. I don't know what it was. Apparently, oats do have a connection with like milk production. I didn't make that connection at the time. I just became so obsessed with them because when you are breastfeeding or pumping, you are burning so much energy. You think in pregnancy you get hungry? Mm, just wait. Just wait till you're going in the milk production process. um Man, I just felt like I was always hungry, and overnight oats are such a great satiating way to kick that carb craving and sugar craving, and it gives you energy, but also has protein. And there's so many yummy varieties. Clean and Delicious on YouTube has some really good overnight oats recipes. And now Scotty is obsessed with overnight oats. He loves them for breakfast, which is great because it's like super healthy and nutritious and satiating. But yeah, overnight oats, man, like they really, really got me through the first year. Um, what was number? That was number 3. Number 4 was audiobooks. I am a book lover. I love reading, but that really had to take a back seat and still has taken a back seat kind of since becoming a mom, since becoming a parent, because you kind of feel like you have to have your eyes on your child at all times. And yet there is this feeling of like having downtime, like I I feel like I can mentally stimulate myself in another way while I'm just like watching my baby play or while I'm on a stroller walk or cleaning up the dishes or whatever. So audiobooks were amazing. Um, and so I still listen to them. Like I bring Scotty to the splash park and just put on an audiobook or a podcast. So yeah, I really loved listening to my audiobooks. And my favorite one that I listened to was Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. That was such a good one. But yeah, audiobooks are a great option if you are a reader, but you're not able to get your reading in as easily. Okay, number 5 is that this one is very practical. Yeah, just filming. Um, okay. Um, this one is very practical. And yeah, it seems like kind of a no-brainer, but I wanted to mention it because it was super helpful for me. But a solid water bottle, either like aluminum or a hard plastic with a straw. Um, the straw is so key because as a new mom, it can feel like there's just so much around you all the time, from like a breastfeeding pillow to snacks, or you don't have your arms easily free, you have like blankets around you, and it could just be like a little bit hectic. But like everything is like essential around you. um but yeah, it could just be a little bit hectic, so it's really easy to just like knock a glass of water over, or it can be easy to like just spill your drink on you. So having a, a non-breakable water bottle with a straw just made it like much easier to manage drinking when your hands are like very much full. Um, and it's just having a good water bottle that you love. It's just a great reminder to stay hydrated, because breastfeeding and pumping makes you really thirsty. And so you really have to stay hydrated. So this is something you could add on your registry. I've never seen it on one, but it really should be there, because just getting a good solid water bottle with a plastic straw will make your life easier, especially when you're like waking up at those night feedings and you're a little bit like disoriented, and oh, there we go, I just knocked a whole glass and water over. Just like not fun. So get a good water bottle is my advice. Number 6, this one's pretty wholesome. Just going to the dog park. So I discovered this when I would just go out walking and have him in the carrier. Babies, they don't need a lot to get entertained, but they can get bored. And so when we would walk by the dog park, not like go in, but just like walk by the gate, he just loved watching the dogs play. And I feel like it really helped him get like familiar with dogs, and he loves dogs now. And yeah, it was just kind of like watching his favorite show, but it's obviously better than a show because it's not TV. And yeah, and then it just got me out for some sunshine. And, it's just a little small thing that made a difference in the day. Dog park outings. Yeah. Um, number 7 is my exercise bike. I did not really get a chance to go to the gym in my first year of motherhood, just because it just wasn't that feasible. And so I made it a like a non-negotiable to go on my exercise bike every day. And I knew that no matter what, I could at least do 5 minutes. I was like, my baby can at least sit for 5 minutes. And normally he could relax alone for a lot more, but just having that like 5 minute standard always got me to go on, because we kind of know that's one of the hardest parts about working out. It's just like getting your shorts and shoes on and just doing it. And so I would get on the bike and I would place him in the bouncer. And usually he actually kind of enjoyed watching me work out, but I would just do that bike for at least 5 minutes. And then normally he would just like end up falling asleep or something. And I could get like at least a 15 or 20-minute workout in. But it was just like a lifesaver. Just helped me feel so much like more rejuvenated. And it was just like a small win having a bike right in there that I could commit to daily and not beat myself up for it. Like no matter how if I did 5 minutes or if I did 15 minutes, like it was still a win. So yeah, an exercise bike was really helpful. Number 8, I mean, this one goes without saying, but supportive friends and family. Because having a baby, as amazing as it is and transformational, can be pretty isolating. Um, and just having friends and family who are offering to help, it really just made such a difference. Number 9 is a baby development book. And I'm actually super proud of myself that I did this, because this is normally something that I would get and maybe do for like a couple weeks and then just put it aside. But I actually stuck with this. And I'm so glad I did, because there's so many little things that you think you will remember and then you just don't. Like I can look back at that development book and be like, oh yeah, like I remember that stage where Scotty was always doing this, and where he just learned to say that word. He said it all the time. And yeah, it's just nice to have those things recorded. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm just grateful that I had it. And I wasn't always perfect about it. Like, sometimes it'd be like 5 months. I'm thinking back to what he did at 3 months. But even doing it imperfectly was still worth it. So I have a beautiful one on the blog that I linked to that is my own. I got it on Etsy, but it's also on Amazon. So you can feel free to check that out. Next one, what did I say? Just basically just spending time rocking my baby to sleep and just staying there. And I know that this is not always feasible. We have things to do, jobs to get done. But I noticed kind of after the newborn stage that I was embracing a routine a little more. And the moment that he would start sleeping, I would just get into this mindset of like, okay, like I need to get as much done possible now that he's asleep. Um, and that's like good, but I also realized that like I'm not gonna have this all the time. And if I can just spend like 10 minutes just hanging out with my baby, like rocking him there, like you may as well do it. And this kind of, I came to appreciate this more when I was, we were on a flight to Ireland, on a flight to Europe, which was about 7 hours. And I just had 7 hours of holding my baby while he fell asleep in my arms. And I was like, this is just so nice. Like, I get to do nothing else but just sit here and enjoy this. And I realized like I have this available to me all the time, but usually I just have a million things in my brain that I'm thinking about doing. But, I won't always get those times to just have him sit and spend time in my arms. And so, we all have to get things done, but if you can just sit back and say, okay, like, will things still be okay if I just like sit here for another 10 or 20 minutes? Then I encourage you to do it. Yeah, this was a simple pleasure that I just had to write down, which was home cooked meals, which is kind of a shout out to my mom because she was an angel during this journey. During my whole motherhood journey, she has been an angel, and she cooked me so many homemade meals, and it was just so nice. But when I obviously couldn't have meals delivered to me, the crock pot was the best gift ever. The crock pot was amazing because I kind of like just discovered it during motherhood, but yeah, I could just like whip up a beautiful, nutritious, home cooked meal. And it was so simple. And just like throwing some vegetables in the pot with some broth and herbs and meat. And voila, I have like a beautiful home cooked meal. Yeah, I felt pretty successful as a new mom, able to whip up a beautiful meal in my crock pot. Okay, a notebook. Okay, this is just something small, but it just sometimes helps when you kind of wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, like what am I gonna do today with my baby? Just another day, just us. And it can kind of feel like the days are a little repetitive. But having a notebook just to like write out some form of structure, some form of template, even if it's like so simple, like we're just going to the grocery store and then we are coming back home and he's going to do some tummy time and then I'm going to like call my friend, like just some form of template can just help you feel like it's just, I don't know, it's just like a small win. It can just make you feel productive. And sometimes even when your plan is to do nothing, it's like you can feel more productive when you know your plan is to do nothing. And so I really appreciated my notebook, and I kind of like look back at the end of the day and read it and just like notice those small wins. Because, yeah, like life with a baby, it goes by fast, but you are very much in slow living. Um, And I think sometimes, especially if you came from like a fast paced corporate world, if you were like in a job before and you're just used to like life where rewards, like growth and rewards show up a little bit more quickly and it's more tangible. And um, life with babies just like babies just don't work that way. Everything is very slow. And so I'm kind of combining another point in my blog, but that's okay. Um, I really learned to just like embrace, or had to learn to really embrace the slow living. And having a notebook just helped me to like acknowledge those small wins and, the little things that I could get done in the day, even if it wasn't much. Um, I just, yeah, it was really helpful. Um, And what else? Oh, yeah. So next is like local baby dropping classes. If you are if you're in a community that hosts baby classes, like most places have them, those are really helpful. And yeah, it's just a great place to like connect with moms who are like in the same exact situation as you are, or maybe their baby's a little bit older and they can give some advice. And yeah, you're kind of just like in this whole new world as a new mom. Like sometimes if you're at home all day with your baby, you can just feel a bit like cocooned. And it was just like really nice to get out there and, you know, obviously it helps the baby get a change in scenery, and you get to also just like meet new people and share anything going on that you have questions about. And yeah, so I definitely appreciated those like baby dropping classes. The next one, I kind of talked about this, but just like embracing slow living. I found that when I had becoming a new mom, um, I really learned to kind of just appreciate slowing down and almost seeing the world like through my child's eyes. And that was so transformative for me, because it was also when my faith was really beginning to grow and develop, and like God really met me there at the beginning of motherhood, and it was like the perfect time, because I just had so much appreciation for those quiet days, and like noticing things that in our fast-paced world we sometimes just overlook. And yeah, so just like embracing slower living and recognizing that you are you are so valuable. You are creating so much value in the world, even if you're not seeing these instant obvious rewards like we often see in work. You know, when we um, finish a project or do a presentation, like all of those things can just feel like this like instant gratification, and you feel like valuable or something. But um, having a baby, you don't get that as much. But like, oh my gosh, there's such a more meaningful, important value added on to what you're doing. And even though you don't see it, I just think it's so important to recognize that it is so there. It is so there. Um, but it's just different. It's really different. But you are um, you are creating so much value by doing what you're doing, even if it feels like a lot of nothing. The next one is, like I said, like my husband has been such an anchor, but we only really got to spend time together at the very end of the day. He works long hours, so he'd often get up at 7 a.m. and sometimes wouldn't be home until 7, and he'd work out. And yeah, so we really would spend time together at the end of the day. And I'd be so tired, but I would just, you know, I'd get in bed and we'd watch like silly nonsense. Honestly, he's always watching like random Irish videos, and I usually would be too tired to even argue with him what we were gonna watch. There's no energy to go back and forth, so I would just sit beside him and watch whatever and just have a laugh. And it was just so important to spend time together, um, in and not alone time together, but also not be reminded of parenting, and remember that you guys are more than just parents, and to not just talk about parenting, but also just have a laugh together and get some comedic relief. And yeah, so even though I might only take like 10 minutes until I just fall asleep, um, I really appreciated just like spending those last hours with my husband, and getting that just like one-on-one time with him, which wasn't much, but was still important. This next insight is about embracing my faith and having humility through motherhood. Um, and parenting, becoming a mother, it's so interesting because you recognize your profound significance and insignificance at the same time. It's like you know you've never been so important. You have this enormous role, this enormous responsibility of sustaining another life. And yet in your mind, in our minds, we become far less important than we ever were and ever will be. We're very important. But as a mother, in our mind, it's like you have a baby and then someone else takes that spot. And isn't that the definition of humility? Not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. You really learn to walk in humility, becoming a parent. And that's such a gift. Like personally, I noticed how selfish I was in a lot of ways. Because putting my wants and needs aside was not always welcome. Like, God has really worked with me on that since becoming a mother. Parenting children can reveal so many areas in our character that we need to work on, and we never knew we needed to work on. They can really shine a light on our weaknesses, which is an amazing thing because it calls us to raise ourselves higher. Yeah, I just felt like so many times I just felt like inadequate. I was like, God, I need you to fill in the gap where I am just so inadequate. And I really need help in this area. Like this is a character flaw and I need to grow here. And so I think that's how one way how my faith, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it. But that's one way how my faith became so developed in this season is I was like, I am just not adequate in my own strength. I need help. I need you. And I've grown so much in the last 3 years since I've had him. I've grown so much, and I've really come to, I still have so much to work on, but it's way more natural for me to put my needs and wants aside now. But he needed to work on that area for me. And so, yeah, being a mother was a really a cornerstone to my faith and really growing with God. And so, my last tip, number 18, and this one, I wouldn't say it's, anyways, I'll just say it. Number 18 is God is not asking you to be the perfect mom. He's asking you to love perfectly as the mother you are. And as much as we should all strive for higher standards, there's no sense in comparing yourself with other parents, other moms, because you are just not them. They may have qualities that inspire you, but you are on your own journey. And I look at all my friends who all have amazing, wonderful moms, and they're all so different. Very strong women who all raise strong women, and they're all different. And so there's no sense in looking at another mom and wondering why you're not more like that. And God's not asking you to be like that mom. He's asking you to love perfectly as the mother you are. And so the love that moves through you won't look the same as someone else because it's not supposed to. You were created uniquely you to be the mother for the child that is uniquely them. I truly believe that we were all there is a plan behind every parent-child bond relationship. And that's not to say that a lot of moms, there's a lot of bad parents out there. Let's be honest. I'm not saying that children should be given bad parents and that's just how, that's God's desire. No, but I think that when God gives us our parents, he always has the best intentions in mind. Like he always looks at that person's highest ideal. He always looks at that person in their best form, what that person could be. And so you just need to worry about being the person that you could be, the best version of yourself. How to love the best way that you can love, and to express your love in the way that is uniquely you. So thank you, Mary Grace at Ascension Presents, for giving me that advice. That's where I heard that advice. And it just really stuck with me. So I hope that that resonated with you too. All right, you guys, that is it from me on my first year of motherhood advice and beyond. I hope that something I shared spoke to your heart, resonated with you, blessed you in some way. If you want to chat, or if you have any questions, please, I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, just remember that every motherhood journey is different. And I just wish you all the joy, peace, and love in the world as you navigate your own journey. All right. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Amen. I will see you next time.